Hey, welcome back, my friend. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast. What if I told you that you could do brain surgery on yourself? Does that seem like a crazy concept? Well, it might, but I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes here explaining that Dr. Lee Warren wrote a book called The Life-Changing Art of Self-Brain Surgery, what that means, why it's important, and why I think this is truly a life-changing book. And while I read a lot of books, I say I really liked it, it was really good, I think this could be life-changing. If you struggle with self-doubt, with thoughts of, the imposter syndrome, if you suffer from maybe not knowing how to be, fill in the blank, a good dad, a good husband, because you didn't have one, this book by Dr. Warren is so good. Life-Changing Art of Self-Brain Surgery. So the first thing that I learned when I read this book, the reason for the title is he's a brain surgeon. He's a combat vet. He's went through some major trauma in his life, having some major loss. And he realized that the way his brain was working and the way this brain was sending signals to himself was not helpful. And he went through a long journey of overcoming trauma and PTSD in order to self-brain surgery himself and remove some of those beliefs, some of those feelings. And he put it all into a book, and it's so good. So the first premise is that you are not your brain. And I think this is really important. When you have your mind, and I think that's who you are. If I had to give it another word, I would say your mind are the words that your soul speaks. It is the who you are. It is why you are. It is your existence. Depending on your faith beliefs, it is what God made you to be. It is you. Your brain is an organ. You're just like your pancreas, which also means that just like your pancreas can't produce insulin that makes you a diabetic, if that happens, when your brain produces chemicals, when the electrical activity is interrupted, your body has dysfunction and it can have bad feelings, but that's not you. And before I get too far, we're going to talk about changing your brain. I do want to say, because your brain is an organ, if things aren't right in your brain, go to the doctor, get medicine, and take the medicine. Get the counseling, like it would be physical therapy. I am going to recommend some things that were in the book that are mental challenges, that are frames of thought. But I'll preface that with, if you have a chemical problem in your brain, which is an organ just like your heart is, liver, lungs, they're all organs, go to the doctor. They can fix a lot of it. It's really amazing. So first concept is you are not your brain. Your brain is a series of neurons and pathways and chemical producing agents that make your body function. It is the most amazing machine, if you want to use that word, on the planet. Its ability to rewire and wire and change is just unbelievable, but that is not you. So the first thing you do when you have a negative belief or you have trauma in your life is you need to do what they would call the pre-op assessment and realize that there's things that you're feeling that are probably not true. In fact, Dr. Warren would say that most of your feelings are not true. Most of your feelings are false. So what is a feeling? A feeling is a group of chemicals, whether it's dopamine and cortisol, all these hormones that get released into your body for whatever reason, and they make you feel a certain way. For instance, some of you getting on a roller coaster, your cortisol levels will rise, your adrenaline levels will rise. I'm having a hard time speaking. Your adrenaline levels will rise, your pupils will dilate, your hands will get sweaty, you'll get sick to your stomach because you're afraid of getting on a roller coaster. It's fear. And as you get closer and closer, you get more and more of these chemicals. You don't like it. You feel like you might even throw up, dizzy, lightheaded, all these feelings because you're scared of heights. You're about to be locked in. You're claustrophobic and you have fear. Well, some of you get in line and your cortisol level rises, your adrenaline increases, your hands get sweaty, and you're excited because you love roller coasters. You love the speed. You love the wind in your hair. It is awesome. Well, what's interesting is the chemicals are exactly the same. It's the same. Fear and excitement can be the exact same feeling. And your mind, the part that you can control, is interpreting that as terrible or awesome, depending on the fear that your mind has, whether you're claustrophobic or afraid of heights. It's the same thing. So when you start to have these negative emotions, these negative feelings, you have to determine through a pre-op assessment, are these feelings fact? Now, sometimes you should definitely, they're facts. You're walking down a hallway or you're walking down an alley and you see a bunch of dudes that it doesn't seem right and you get a pit in your stomach and you think, I should probably turn around and go another direction. Listen to that. Your brain is going, warning, warning, warning. Listen to it, right? Those feelings, well, maybe you're not going to get mugged. You should listen to them because they could be facts. So you have to take a moment and assess what you're feeling. And this could be for anger. Have you ever been angry at your kids? And while you're being angry, you're like, why in the world am I angry? Like you can't figure it out. And then maybe you do a little bit of reflection and you realize, well, you're stressed out at work. You didn't sleep last night and you haven't eaten yet. And now there's no excuse to be a terrible person to your kids. Now you understand because you're assessing your feelings and you determine that most feelings are not facts. The next step is you're going to realize that there is a link. And they've seen this now with the new imaging, the functional MRIs, that your mind, the things that you think, can physically alter your brain. And your brain can change the way you think in your mind. But the point of this is that you're not stuck with the brain that you have. Your mind can change it. Which when we go to like meditation and prayer, these are your thoughts, the things that you're thinking, physically altering your brain. And we have functional MRIs. We have brain scans that show that as you are thinking of things, it's changing the way your brain is moving. It's changing the way your brain is linking up. It's changing the chemicals your brain is submitting to your body. You have the ability to make change. So how does this work in practice? Let's say you have a continual malignant thought, and that thought is, I'll never be good enough. My dad's right, and he told me I'd never be good enough. Well, the first thing to do is determine, is that accurate? If it was a thought that was helpful, a thought that was, like look both ways before you cross the street, and your parents drilled that into you, well, we don't want to get rid of that thought, right? Because that's an important one. But if it was, you're useless, you'll never be anything because blah, 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 that is malignant, and that needs to be taken out. And because we know that we have the ability with our thoughts to remove some of the malignant things in our lives, we can get rid of that by literally just having positive self-talk. And I always hesitate to go down to like the power of positive thinking type, because it gets really woo-woo and it kind of becomes abstract. But there is some truth in the morning, looking at yourself in the mirror. And if that thought is, I'm not good enough, you look at yourself and go, I am good enough. And it works because your brain is influenced by your thoughts. And if you can say it enough and then take action on it enough, and because it's not all thoughts, right? You have to go do things, right? If you have imposter syndrome, but you never challenge that and actually go out and try to do the things that your brain says you can't do, then you're never going to get over it. But you can actively change your mind. I think it's so important. So we can change our mind. We determine what is bad. We determine that we have the ability to do it, and then we actively go in and change our mind. In this book, they give us 10 commandments of self-brain surgery. I'm going to go over those because I think it helps really to break down the process of there's something wrong in my life that I want to change, and this process is going to help me get there. The 10 commandments. Number 1, I must relentlessly refuse to participate in my own demise. This is taking possession. And maybe it's not you, but you probably know somebody who the world just hates them. Everything they do, it's, they have bad luck. They have, it's just in my family, but my family has bad luck. There's nothing I can do, but they're participating in their own demise. Don't do that. You have to realize that you are not going to be responsible for taking you down. You're going to do everything possible to not participate in your own demise. Commandment number 2, I must believe that the feelings are not facts. They are chemical events in my brain. Remember, fear and excitement are the same set of chemical events with a different outlook. The same exact ones. In my life as a fireman, when I was younger, I wasn't afraid. It feels bad, stupid saying this, and I've talked about this before, but for the first probably 8 years of my career as a fireman, going into burning buildings, it was super exciting. And it's still pretty awesome. And I wasn't afraid. And it had nothing to do with being brave. It was that I was with guys that I trusted, and they said, hey, I think we can get this one. And we went in, and I was excited because that's what I had been training to do. And I put in the work to be good at it. And I went in, and we did some cool things and made a difference in the world. And I was excited. Once I got older and I saw some bad things happen, I got put in a position where I was asking other people to do dangerous things. I started to have stress and anxiety. But the chemicals, I'm sure, were exactly the same. I mean, we had a big fire, large house yesterday that was on fire, and we got back, and my guys worked hard. They went through 3 air bottles. A bottle of air gives you about 20 minutes of work, and they did that 3 times. I mean, these guys were whipped. And I almost felt silly because I was too. I took the hardest nap. I laid down, I was so tired because for them, they had all these emotions, all these chemicals, and they got to work it out. You know, they were working physically hard. I stood on the outside for probably 45 minutes. My stress levels were way up. I had lots of concerns. I was making some big decisions. I was asking people to do dangerous things. And when I got done and everything was okay and everybody's safe, I took that breath and I just felt exhausted because I had the same chemicals in my brain. That cortisol levels, my adrenaline levels, all these things were up just as much as them, and I didn't get to work it out. I just dealt with the stress. So you realize that the feelings I was having were not facts. They're just chemicals in my brain. Number 3, I must believe that my automatic thoughts are untrue. This kind of goes along with your feelings are not facts, but your automatic thoughts, we're wired for doubt. We're wired for worry. We're wired for stress. And some of it was good. You know, when we're walking through the jungle, right, and we hear a snap of a tree branch, that could be a lion coming to get us. So we should worry. Well, we don't live in that world anymore, but our chemistry in our brain is still there. So remember, when you automatically think negative, when your wife said something to you or text something to you, which is probably worse, and you automatically assume why is she mad at me? That's an automatic thought, and it's probably untrue. If you called her and said, are you upset? She goes, no, absolutely not. Well, you said this text message, and this is the way I read it. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Dr. Don Deloney, he has a great thing when he's asking people to have tough conversations with their spouse or someone else. He says, this is how you start it. You say, the story I'm telling myself is this. And that's probably a negative story. So if you had a text message from your wife and it triggered this automatic negative thought that your wife is mad or upset, that is a story you're telling yourself. Now, in order to get past that, because that's a very natural human thing, you go to your wife and say, listen, the story I'm telling myself when you come home and you complain that I didn't, I vacuumed the lines in the horizontal instead of the vertical fashion, that feels disrespectful to me. Did you mean to do that? They would go, oh no, I was so stupid. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I didn't mean that. You're going to come up with something probably not what you were thinking at all, because commandment number 3 is that your automatic thoughts are usually untrue. Commandment number 4, I must believe that my brain is designed to heal. For a while, they thought your brain after a certain age was static. It is molded into what it's going to be, and it does not change. We've learned now through functional MRI and different brain scans that your brain is now, we know it's neuroplasticity. We know it means it has the ability to grow and change and get worse, but also to get better to an extent, which means that if the person you are today, if you're willing to put in the work, put in the thoughts, be consistent, you can change who you are. And that is so amazing. Commandment number 5, I must love tomorrow more than I hate how I feel right now. And this is a good one, man. This might be my favorite because, I could be hungry right now, right? But I want to be skinny tomorrow. Can I love tomorrow more than I hate the feeling of being hungry right now, and I'm willing to put off dinner and not have the ice cream? This would solve a lot of my problems if I could do this more consistently. And I've done it, I look at myself in the past and I see the relationship I have and the wife I have. And I think, man, 21-year-old Danny, good job, bro. You picked a good one. You did good, because, I don't know. I think this is a cool concept that I'm going to love tomorrow more. And whatever I'm feeling right now, I'm willing to put in the work to get to that tomorrow. I think that is pretty cool. Commandment number 6, I must stop making an operation out of everything. Don't complicate things. There's a lot of people when you ask them, hey, why don't you do this? Or, I can't swim. Well, why? Well, when I was 5 years old, I fell in the pool and I got scared and now I can't swim. Man, you're making that real complicated. You could learn to swim today. Being the 5-year-old you falling into the pool, you don't even remember that. Someone told you you did that, and then you just keep repeating that story. You could change today. Don't make an operation out of it. Don't make this. Sometimes you just stop. Like, that's how you do certain things. If it's not like a chemical addiction, you could just stop and decide to do something different. So don't make an operation out of it. Commandment number 7, I must not perpetrate generational thought or behavior issues in my family or start any new ones. Break the chain, man. The negativity, maybe your mom was super negative. Maybe your dad was super negative. Maybe you don't know how to say I love you and you know that's important. Maybe you never got a hug. Don't perpetuate that. Just because your parents did it doesn't mean it was right. Just because you've been doing it for a long time doesn't mean it's right. Figure out how to have a better life and do it today. Change. The reason we do this is because we've always done it is a terrible idea. At work, there's a joke amongst firefighters that you have 100 years of tradition unimpeded by progress. We found a way that was good, and we're going to do that forever, even though sometimes we have studies and tests and new equipment. No, the old way is better. That's the way that, the guys taught me how to do it. This is the way Grandpa did it this way, and I'm going to do it this way. Doesn't have to happen. Grandpa might have been an awesome man who was doing the best he possibly could, but he didn't have the tools, he didn't have the knowledge, and now you do. Break the generational cycle. You can do it. Don't pass that stuff on. Commandment number 8, I must love my brain and live in such a way as to improve it. I think this goes to our health and truly thinking of your brain as an organ that you can work out. What does this mean? It means getting some sleep. It means feeding it good food. It means maybe not using so many mind-altering substances. Marijuana has become legal. Alcohol has obviously been legal. I would highly encourage you to use those in moderation or not at all. They have not found a benefit for alcohol health-wise at all, other than the social lubricant that makes parties funner. That is the only benefit of alcohol. You couldn't drink enough red wine to get the flavonoids you would need to have the antioxidant. Your liver would blow up if you had that much alcohol. It's a poison. I would encourage you to significantly reduce it or eliminate it if possible. You can have fun at parties. It's possible. Marijuana, it affects your brain. I think we've all known someone that smoked themselves stupid. If you've been around at all, you know somebody that just is not as smart as they could be because of the use of marijuana and other substances. Don't drink caffeine super late at night because you won't rest and recover, therefore you won't sleep. You got to love your brain. Treat your brain like it's the most important organ in your body, because it probably is. 'Cause if it stops working, all the other ones stop. So you need to love your brain. Commandment number 9. I must believe that I'm getting better at what I am doing. This is important. If you are hopeless, if you're in a hopeless state, I can never change, you will never change. I listened to a podcast and they were talking about the power of hope, and they had a rat, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong. Basically, they put this rat in the water in a bucket, and the first rat, it made it 45 minutes, and then it drowned, which is, that's pretty cruel. So then they took another rat, they put it in the water, and at 40 minutes, they took it out of the water, gave it some food, and then stuck it back in the water, and the thing made it 60 hours. It made it days. Why? Because it had hope. I'm telling you that you can get better. Your brain can improve. Your physical ability can improve. Your relationships can improve. And it can do that when you have your thoughts tell your brain to change. When your thoughts tell your brain that you can do it, that you are a good person, that you have the ability to learn, and you can change who you are, and you're going to get better at doing this. When you first start doing this stuff, it's going to seem silly and there will be no change, but you can change. You can improve. And finally, number 10, I must understand that thoughts become things. This is a very powerful idea, that the things that I'm thinking of, like this podcast, the reason you're listening to this podcast is because 4 years ago, I started thinking, man, it would be cool if I had a platform to share the things I'm thinking about. It would give me an opportunity to research things. And I started thinking about it. And then I got online and I started thinking about, well, what do I need? Oh, I need a microphone. I need a recorder. I need a light. I need a camera. And those thoughts became actions of buying that stuff. And then I figured out how to host the podcast. And now for over almost 3 years, me and you have been having a conversation. Thoughts become things. The way you think about your wife. I love her. She's amazing. She's beautiful. I'm attracted to her. I'm going to try to make her life the best possible. You're going to start doing things that shows her that you love her, that you think she's amazing. You're going to take action. You're going to say the right words. If you're like, I hate this woman, she's ruined my life, those are, you're going to go take actions where you file for divorce, or you start chatting with a young girl at work, and, chats turn into dates turn into other things. Thoughts are actions. Thoughts are things. Things change things. So think the right things. I can't recommend this book highly enough. I told my sister about it. She's like, this book is so good. And she's a counselor. She's like, I've already told 5 people they have to buy it. So one thought that I think you should make that should turn into things is, I think you should go buy this book. The book is by Dr. W. Lee Warren. It's The Life-Changing Art of Self-Brain Surgery. I will put a link in the show notes. I think it's so good. If you want help changing your thoughts, if you want help bouncing your ideas off, please reach out to me. My email is danny@dannydumas.com. I want to help you have a better life. I want to help you become a better husband, father, and leader. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. As always, my name is Danny Dumas, and I will talk to you later. Bye.